Hello everyone, and welcome to another video from Eagles of Empire. In this video we're gonna do a flip through of Drillbook II, which is the second of our two rule books concluding the Eagles of Empire Skirmish rules. Drillbook II is an extension to the basic game rules in Drillbook I. And Drillbook II covers gaming with cavalry, artillery and heroes. This is a full color matte finish books that repels any sticky fingers, and it's a 36 page and a fully illustrated full color book that will get you inspired, get you painting and get you gaming with cavalry, artillery and heroes for the Franco-Prussian War. Let's take a closer look at this extension to the basic rules. Right, let's dive into Drillbook II and see what we got. So just like in Rulebook 1, we start out with a historical quote here. This time it's from Adalbert von Bredow, who was the Prussian cavalry general who got the order to carry out the famous death ride at the Battle of Mars-la-Tour. So his quote here is what he said when he was given the order to conduct this more or less suicidal charge. So this is again setting the historical framework. We got a list of content, of course, which takes you through cavalry, artillery, heroes. We got some uniform and painting guides, really nice color plates here, and then the quick ref ends up the book. Just like in Rulebook 1, we have a historical introduction taking you back to the 19th century and warfare in this period. So the inspiration and mindset is ready to dive into this period. Beautiful pictures, lithographic pictures from the period too. So we start out by taking a close look at cavalry. Each of the three sections covering cavalry, artillery and heroes will start out with a historical introduction to the developments for each of the different technical groups, and also some of the implications on the battlefield. So cavalry, of course, in the end of the 19th century had a problematic outlook with the rise of rifle fire, breech-loading rifle fire, and also artillery. You also saw some of the early machine guns entering the battlefield here. So cavalry was really hard pressed, and that is of course covered in the rules. And there's different aspects that reflects the difficulties that cavalry was facing. And here we mentioned some of the battles and some of the examples from the Franco-Prussian War that really put cavalry in a disadvantage. The rules book also explains really simply how to build your cavalry units, and also gives examples on basing. Again, the basing examples, of course, optimized towards the rules and how we use unit strength. There's also an example here of a stat card for, in this case, French hussars, where you have the unit cost in command points, the unit name, you got the unit stats, and you got the special skills here on the stat card for the French hussars. So it's really explanatory in the way that you get a complete overview of what you need, how to build your units and how to base them, so that everything is optimized for gaming with the Eagles of Empire Skirmish rules. On we go to taking a closer look at cavalry squadrons, how they work with officers and doctrine cards. Some of you that are familiar with Rulebook 1 with the use of officers will recognize the doctrine cards and how to boost your troops' abilities on the gaming table using doctrine cards. Of course, this is also available for cavalry. Just like with infantry, you bundle together the basic units into larger units, and then you get the option of adding officers. Also, we got some special rules which is covered here for cavalry. For instance, we got cavalry is noted as a large target on the gaming table, which means that there's a firing bonus when you're directing fire at cavalry units. There's a charge bonus to cavalry if they succeed at charging home at the enemy unit. There's a bonus here of trampling and panic in enemy ranks when the cavalry charges home. So those special rules covering cavalry is also covered here. So moving on to artillery. Again, we start out with explaining some of the technical developments for artillery in the 18th century, that's 19th century, sorry, and how they implicate on the actual battlefield. So good example here would be the Prussian Krupp breech-loading guns. Actually, Krupp tried to sell some of these guns to the French Second Empire. I think it was 5 or 10 years prior to the Franco-Prussian War, but the French rejected the deal, sadly for them, because they had a lot of problems with the Prussian artillery during the Franco-Prussian War. They were basically outgunned by the Prussian artillery. So some of those technical implications here and how they spilled over into tactical advantages and disadvantages, this is covered here. Onwards to, again, how to build and base your artillery units. We cover the basics of the unit cards again, and how to also bundle together your artillery into batteries and what bonuses you will acquire when doing that. Nice examples here of miniatures and so on. Moving on to the special rules for artillery, and also bundle under artillery, of course. You find the infamous French early MG called a mitrailleuse. So this MG is basically it was used way too defensively by the French. They held back on it, and it was actually deployed often way too back, too far away from the actual battle, alongside the artillery. So yeah, some of the tactical aspects of the mitrailleuse are covered here in the rules also, and you'll find that if you play the mitrailleuse differently than it was historically played, you will have some great advantages. So there are special rules for mitrailleuse and early MGs. There are special rules for artillery. All those are covered here. Again, the book is filled with these really nice old lithography prints. Here's a double-sided print. Got some really nice miniature pictures here. Full color will get you inspired and get you painting your miniature collection. So onward we go to heroes. Again, we have some example here of, let me say that all the heroes that are in the rules and in the miniatures range, all of those are actual historical persons who in some way or other made a great difference during a battle or during a series of battles. So an example here is Colonel Susoni defending together with his Turco Zouaves defending a hill at the Battle of Wörth. Carried out some suicidal countercharges despite, I think it was 70 or 80% losses. They still countercharges with bayonets. So there's an example here on von Halden, a Prussian officer who carried out a heroic charge during the Battle of Saint-Privat. So we touch up on some of the history here and the actual heroes that took part of these battles. Again, we give some examples here on how to base the heroes. So you could go for a smaller 40mm base or go for a larger 6mm vignette style base, as we have here with Commandant Berbillier. Again, we look closer at some of the stat cards for heroes. Now, heroes have, each of them, it works like this: they have a special ability, a unique ability that is only carried by that single hero. So each of them will apply a certain special ability to the rule, to the game, and this special ability is active as long as the hero is alive and is on the gaming table. So it goes without saying that you need to be careful, you know, how offensively you play your heroes. You want to keep them alive. You want to inspire your troops and boost their abilities. I can look a little closer here at von Bredow. Interesting example. I have his hero card here. So the hero card for General von Bredow looks like this. Costs 4 points to recruit. You attach him to a unit of Prussian cuirassiers, and he is then attached permanently to that unit, and he perishes alongside that unit when it is off table and done. Then he simply perishes together with it. So it goes without saying again, you know, you need to be careful with how aggressive you play those units that have heroes attached, but you know, you could get into a tight corner and use them. But then again, you got the special ability here. Now it reads like this. For von Bredow, he has of course his special ability called the Death Ride, which reflects the historical charge that von Bredow did at the Battle of Mars-la-Tour. He charged the French artillery line and just broke right through it and broke through the reserve ranks and way back to the, I think he stopped when he reached the ambulances way behind the French lines, and then they had to turn the whole thing around and go through the French lines once again. So huge casualties, but a successful charge nonetheless. So the Death Ride special ability reads like this. Von Bredow led the famous Death Ride charge against the French artillery at Mars-la-Tour. As long as von Bredow is on the table, all Prussian cuirassiers Berit will have 1 extra defense die. So a Berit is the smallest unit of Prussian cuirassiers you can have. You can add them together, get a squadron. So each Berit will have an extra defense die as long as this guy is on the table. So again, it's a pretty powerful upgrade for all your cuirassiers. Now there's many more examples. The range has plenty of heroes, both for the German coalition, also for the French. So you can find different ways to boost your troops using the heroes on top of the doctrines used by your officers. And the book has also some really nice full color uniform plates here. Got the French on the left and the Prussians or German coalition on the right. Have some cuirassiers, franc-tireurs, got some zouaves, line infantry, hussars, and garde mobile. Now we are currently developing the range focused very much on the imperial period of the war. So the summer battles, but we got a lot of miniatures coming that will cover the autumn and winter period, the Republican phase of the war. So you will have Garde Mobile, you will have Marine infantry, and of course the franc-tireur already there, and you will also have Papal zouaves, etc., etc. So all these really different and in many ways rough French units recruited while France was really hard pressed after the collapse of the empire. Those are gonna come during the foreseeable future into the miniatures range. So on the German page here we got some Prussian gunners. We have Prussians in winter uniform, something that we're also gonna release soon. We got some cuirassiers, Jägers, and Bavarians, and we got some standard Prussian line infantry right there. Moving on to the quick ref page, and this is the same one as you have in Rulebook 1, but it's nice to have it all gathered here, I guess, because right here we got the one that is particular for cavalry, artillery, and heroes. So you got some of the the new special abilities that that covers cavalry and artillery. You got here, for instance, the special ability of the French mitrailleuse, the French MG. We got the, let's call it the disadvantage of being a large target right here. Cavalry has that one. And we got some interesting other ones. We got Scout Cavalry. They can perform an extra movement instead of firing. We got the cuirasse, the breastplate of the cuirassier. You gain an extra 2 defensive dice in the cavalry melee. And there's many others here that is interesting and will expand the tactical diversity of the game. So, ending up book, just like Rulebook 1, we have some suggestions for further reading. We got some really good suggestions for museums if you are in France or in Germany. And a list of people who has both inspired and helped me develop Eagles of Empire to what it is today. So that ends up this flip through. Just like with Rulebook 1, Rulebook 2 here is available as a separate purchase or as a bundle deal where you get both the rule books, and you also get a really nice set of full color doctrine cards and a limited edition French officer miniature. So all that is up on the web shop, so take a look and see if this is something you'd like to expand your rulebook collection with. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you all on the YouTube channel again. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to get a little message each time we're going to post something. We post videos regularly on a weekly basis at this point, so keep an eye out, and I'll see you in the next video.